Hello, everybody. We'll be beginning shortly. We'll be starting in about 2 more minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to post it in the chat. Thank you. Hello, everybody. We will be beginning shortly. Just sit tight. We're going to let more people come in, and we'll be starting very shortly. If you have any questions or kind of technical issues, feel free to post it in the chat. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chris Vaccaro. I am the Marketing and Account Manager here at Fulcrum Digital, and I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Business Platform 2.0, Digital Acceleration and Exponential Growth, presented by Rajesh Sinha, Chairman of Fulcrum Digital. So just a few housekeeping things as we go along. Rajesh is somebody who loves questions. So if you have any questions at all during the presentation as they come up, feel free to put them in the questions pane within GoToWebinar or post them in chat. Either way, they will come to us. Also, if you're experiencing any technical issues or anything that you might need assistance with, please also post that in the chat. Our staff will attempt to address that as best as we can. And just a reminder as well, a recording of this webinar will be sent out to everybody who registered. So, no need to take notes. Everything will be sent to you. Sit back and enjoy. And with that, I am proud to introduce Rajesh Sinha.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for putting this together and bringing me on our platform to share my thought process and what we have been doing in the industry. So let's hit on the topic, Platform 2.0. The moment this, the thought on Business Platform 2.0 always refers what was 1.0, right? And where did it all start and where we are today and where we are headed tomorrow. So in today's presentation, that's what we are going to explain. What were the tools, technologies, and business processes which has helped us reach where we are today and what's happening in the industry around us, which can help us move to the next level of our growth model. So in the flow of our presentation today, you will see two aspects primarily, what and how, right? And we'll help you first understand what is Business Platform 2.0, referencing it with 1.0, bringing in intelligent industry platforms. It's well understood if we give live examples, right? So we'll pick some of the industries like food industries, insurance, education, and bring the context how these industries have been growing exponentially by leveraging the Business Platform 2.0. So that will help you understand your IT landscape, and you can correlate some of these messages into your company and have some meaningful conversation with your stakeholders. So to get onto the journey of Business Platform, what it is, if we can simply put it, it puts you onto exponential growth. And exponential growth means either the dollar revenue or the number of users exponentially growing onto your business apps and business platforms, right? And are you on a journey of monetizing that continuously, revising it? And if you are on that journey, sure, you have endorsement for Business Platform 2.0. You know, you don't need outside endorsement. Your revenue, your profit figure, your number of users will define it very well. Just to give you a little bit more context from the past, and if you look at this landscape, in 2006, all the top 5 companies in the world, only 1 technology companies, and rest of them were, into energy, manufacturing, banking sector. As we moved into 2011, the landscape started to change. The Apple entered in the club, and by 2016, you see the new face of new players emerging in the market. Companies like, we all know Amazon and Google Alphabet. They all started taking the leading position. And we all know Amazon is not just the e-commerce company, but they are truly a platform company, right? So we would go a little deeper to understand what makes them successful and who are the other companies competing with Amazon, so that we can analyze the 2.0 journey together, and once we have understood that, then we'll articulate it through the new architecture, what companies like yours or ours should be doing in the market to create a new platform architecture, right? So there could be many examples, but I thought of discussing with you the trend in e-commerce world, right? I could have taken example of Netflix, Uber, could have taken some other industry product example, but I chose the e-commerce world example and picked from different regions, So Amazon from US controlling 37% market, Flipkart, which is now owned by Walmart, that's 39.5% in India, and Alibaba controlling 55% in China, and the new player who is emerging in Indian market is Reliance, and they are coming into this space of e-commerce. And interestingly, Amazon is putting a 26% stake. It is not finalized yet, but I believe this is the new news. They are trying to collaborate and create a new e-commerce market share in India. And another interesting thing is, in India, there are about 20 million small retailers, and they don't have an electronic platform, the digital platform, business platforms. So the idea is, with Amazon experience and Reliance's funding and capital backing, they are going to create a new platform, which will be called 2.0 in my definition, to be shared by those 20 million retailers. And that's a new idea in the market, right? So that's the common industry in different geography. But if you look at what is common between all of them, right? So you will find that all these companies have exponential growth model. They are all trying to increase their market share, bringing in new ideas, API economy. So they are partnering with each other instead of just competing. They are coexisting to create a better market share, and everything is revolving around a platform business, right? Alibaba has a platform, Flipkart has an e-commerce platform, Amazon has a platform, and Reliance, they are launching the business model. I'm sure they will have a modern and next generation platform. What is the common thing amongst all these four e-commerce giants in the world, right? They have brought in a discipline in their IT landscape, right? Everyone has intelligent data. They have data. They have product data, which they are selling to customers. They have customers' behavior data. They have partners' data. All are data within their landscape, and they are trying to make it intelligent in all aspects. So that's one layer, one behavior, which is common across all these companies. Simplified processes. They have ability to change the process, be agile. If the market dynamics changes, they can easily change those business rules and launch a new idea in the market. Contextual experience. The technologies are evolving now. Mobile is no longer growing. The virtual reality and the voice is taking the new wave of experience. Based on the context where you are in what scenario, consumer wants the behavior and the experience from the platform. So ability to deliver based on that context is the new phenomena in the platform 2.0. New buying experiences, and the core foundation is certainly people and culture, right? For intelligent data, simplified processes, and contextual experience to coexist together, the most important aspect is the mindset and people and culture. I'll a little bit talk on that, but I'll stay focused on technology and business aspect of discussion today. And as we go along, I'll talk about the reference from the past, which is what was 1.0. So about 10 years back, right? Let's consider 2009 and 10. That's when I think the 1.0 journey was going on, and that's my belief, that's my experience, which is what I'm sharing with you. And that wave, those days were about building portal, enterprise information portal, and that had two parts, vertical portals and horizontal portals. Horizontal portals were meant to enable the business to run successfully. Vertical portals were meant to service the outside world and bring revenue back in the companies. And when all the enterprise businesses, they wanted to launch their portal, the first thing they had to do was integrate all their silo system, right? So many business applications were running in different pockets. They had individual data, business logic, and experience layer. Everything was disintegrated, working in multiple silos. The objective of enterprise portal was to bring it together. And this is where I'll give you the mall analogy, right? So what happened when the mall culture came in? Before mall, you had to go to different stores, different parking spots, different places to go for entertainment or food. After mall culture coming in, everything gets aggregated, all the stores at one place, then you have a common area for shared services. That takes the mall analogy, and in that mall, let's consider the restrooms, the entertainment, theater, and restrooms and parking all as a horizontal component, which is shared component across your business applications, and the different designer stores and stores, they are part of your vertical portal. So that discipline came in IT and business world somewhere around 2008 to 11, 12, and companies started to bring a discipline of building an enterprise portal and organizing their disparate systems with framework and architecture. And that's the journey. We could call it 1.0. That's our way of defining it. I'd like to draw attention towards one of the sector in higher education. We had some example during that time when so many silo systems were talking to having too many point of connection. So as you could see with this diagram, their learning management system or student record system or finance system, they did not have a discipline to communicate within the enterprise. Everything was talking to everyone. So governance was an issue, too many point-to-point integration, and what was needed to bring a discipline of bus architecture. So when you bring bus, it helps you integrate all your silo system through a bus topology and brings the discipline of accessing the data application and make better meaning out of enterprise system, right? So this format of reorganizing enterprise system creates a portal vision and portal value creation for universities. So if a student has to log in, they will log in at one place, or staff has to log in, they will log in at one place, and they can access multiple systems through one platform or one business application, right? So it brings a discipline, and those days 1.0 gave the experience to student and staff with the discipline of bus architecture and organizing the system. Another example came to our mind. There used to be an organization in the country where they had to give confirmation to the business world whether any student has graduated from that university, is it valid or invalid. And let's assume there are 170 universities out there. Tomorrow Walmart is hiring some interns, and Walmart wants to verify if this student has really graduated at that particular year, what they have mentioned in their resume. They need to log into a system, and through that web system, the connector will go and talk to their student record system and validate whether the data is correct or not, right? So this particular architecture through bus topology was happening and solving the business problems, and there was good value. Yeah, 1.0 always puts you not on exponential growth, does put you on a linear growth. So number of users, number of transaction starts to grow once you bring in the integrated platform through bus topology. As we moved along, the journey of SMAC came in, social, mobile, analytics, and cloud, right? So once we organized our enterprise landscape, we started seeing that there are a lot of people having unstructured way communication with the corporations through email, through social medias, and then that needed to be integrated with your enterprise system to create a better market value. Information and applications needed on any place, anywhere, on any mobile devices. So that brought in the mobility era. Analytics. Now we had a humongous data, the big data with us, right? Structured and unstructured data. How do you make meaning out of those data? And finally, cloud era came in. So instead of hosting all these enterprise portal applications in-house, customer wanted to go cloud and have a multi-tenancy for their business apps. So that SMAC journey, let's call it like from 2010, 11 to 2015, 16, I would call it that SMAC was still at the peak, and there were many platforms were also evolving at that time. Portal platforms, Microsoft, IBM, Liferay, and open source, Drupal, and things like that. So all were coexisting, solving business problems while staying on the journey of SMAC, right? Finally, we moved to the journey of 2.0, right? We call it since 2016, 17 till 20. I think this architecture and this era will continue, and we try to define it under 4 layers, which is a matter of state where we call data has to be defined in your landscape in solid architecture, your business logic under liquid, and gas is your experience layer. And finally, what you create network effects is called plasma layer, right? Um, as we all know, every company has data, and data is king. Data gives you the money, whether you have your product data, customers data, partners, employees data, um, and that's not going to change. That has never changed when the time of mainframe were there. That time also data was there in IBM DB2, moved into Unix world with all the RDBMSs, data existed, data grew with big data, and now today with the data lakes concept, it's further growing, right? So data is never going to change. Data is your money, right? Your business process changes much faster than what it changed in the past. So bringing the agility to adopt the market condition, it has to have a liquid approach. And gas, we talk about contextual experience. On any platform, you can consume your business process and data to deliver the meaningful outcome, you know. So while we explain this journey of 2.0, it would be important for us to know how all these things are applied in practical way within your IT landscape or in your business landscape, right? So through this diagram, we will help you understand that most of you, either you are on the journey of maturing your existing platform, building a new platform, buying a new platform, creating a hybrid platform. So you have these thoughts always running in your mind, right? And whatever you do, whether build, buy, hybrid, right? Every architecture has to have this minimum denominator within your IT landscape, which is the core architecture, right? So the core is a lot of reusable assets, which are, I call it a horizontal components, right? Which once you build the container, you have to have an approach of reusing it time and again, right? So if you build a robotics process or AR, VR component or alerts and notification, once you build alerts and notification for your one business application, there is no need to build another alerts notification for another business apps. That needs to be on a multi-tenancy and on reusable aspect, you know. Once we go to the next layer, you have the next layer of collaboration component, file management, configuration, content management. So there are many aspects of your business apps on horizontal, which can, again, you can reuse it, right? Then you go into the industry specific examples, right? For different industries. For food industries, works with menu recipe nutritions. For education sector, they work with student record, staff record, finance, attendance record, learning management. That's a different business logic, right? We go to insurance, it works with policy, claims, agents, that different landscape. All that can be built or bought on the top of your cloud architecture, on your reusable architecture, which are the horizontal components. And finally, based on which industry you are servicing, which business unit you are servicing, you can take the branding aspect and custom component aspect and stitch it together. This kind of approach lets you launch new ideas faster in the market, increases the consumer base, adaptability of the platform, and that's the journey of exponential growth. The faster you launch the new products, easier the consumers can come to the platform easily and increase the number of users on the platform. That's all the path for monetizing your platform and creating more and more network effects. I'll further draw your attention towards how this can be converted into an industry platform, right? So I talked about higher education, and for a minute I'll talk about food industry, right? So in food industry, you have products bought from the farmers, brought into the warehouse. Then there is a certain menu to be created. Recipes are defined in the business process layer. You have a nutritional value there. And then finally, it is served to the consumers, right? The whole life cycle could be designed into a business platform. Yes, right. There are a lot of horizontal component can be kept, like workflow, um, masters, audit trail, reports, dashboards. These are common component, and the business components are recipe manager, the vendor manager, and things like that. As long as these are all defined into your solid layer, liquid layer, and gas layer, you can create a plasma effect. You can create many network effects. So in my following slides, I'll be giving you some more examples of how a business platform 2.0 creates network effects once you have a discipline of data, which is solid, business logic, which is liquid, and gas, which is a contextual experience layer, very well defined. Similarly, when you go to education sector, you don't need to rebuild all these components which was once built for food industry. You can reuse them, many of them, the newer technologies, into education sector. What will change in education? They have a different learning management system, attendance record system, unlike what happens in the food industry. So you have to build those containers, either build it or buy it from the market, but you need to put that under the discipline of your business platform 2.0 to create better student experience and staff experience in your university's landscape. Where do we start the journey, or how do we evaluate where we are, and how do we start building the 2.0 journey? So with our philosophy, we practice about 5 stages of enterprise intelligent industry platform assessment, right? It starts with step 1 and goes to 5. Fifth step is innovator space, where you continuously mature. There is no sixth step, right? Fifth is that continuous maturity model. Step 4 is more on when you have more meaningful applications coming out of your enterprise system, creating multi-tenant applications. Time to deliver reduces. Like earlier, if you were delivering in 6 months, now you are delivering in 2 months. Well, it means you have a maturity of stage 4, right? 3 is more digitally credible. You have seen some of your competition launch the product in the market. You have also launched it faster. It means your landscape is getting aligned, discipline is getting formed in your people, culture, technology landscape, and you are having some credibility to demonstrate in the market, right? 1 and 2 is more on assessing it, reorganizing it. So those are the journeys. So I took in the reverse way to explain what this model is. So, and everyone can assess based on their method. But one thing is common, right? Whatever stage you are in the maturity process, you must have a culture of innovation lab, right? You have to innovate. Every day, newer things are coming in the market. What took us 10 days or 20 days to do certain tasks, now there are tools and technical approaches which can help us solve the same thing in 2 hours, right? How do you know what tools are available in the market? What are the method and approach? You have to have a culture of innovation, right? Either you have your lab in-house or you outsource lab and bring the multiple ideas. You have to have a culture of ideating those ideas, ideating process, filtering it out, building the proof of value, launching into the market, and testing it out, right? So that the whole cycle should be wrapped up in 2 weeks time frame, maximum 3 to 4 weeks. And these are the culture of innovation lab, where you continuously get your hands dirty on the technical platform. And you may not have to do many things in-house. You have a lot of vendors, partners, they can be a partner with you, as long as you have a model of building the innovation lab, innovation and ideation. People can demonstrate the value using the newer technologies, right? So now I'll take you into the journey of how 2.0 platforms are creating the network effects. Are we increasing the number of users from hundreds of thousands to millions of users? And what's the method of growing that, right? And how do we monetize it? And will that be called the exponential growth? So I'll focus on food industry, then I'll jump onto insurance sector, and then finally I'll be open to take some more questions from you guys. So let's talk about food industry. So I gave a little background about what happens in food companies. Food gets catered to hospitals, universities, corporate clients, restaurants, a lot of places food gets served. What is the common process? The process is food gets purchased, brought into inventory, then menu is there, you follow the recipe, nutrition, and finally it gets delivered to the customers, right? So one of the example was that the food application was built. So consider that a food management company using menu, recipe, nutrition, and complete process is automated. Millions of plates are getting served. Let's take an example of school nutritions, right? So you have different grades, kids are eating meal, cafeteria is there, products are getting displayed, what's getting served that day, and kids are coming, taking their plate, their meals are served. How many users are there for that applications? Perhaps up to 1,000 users who are using the system, because most of the users are back-end people. Kids are not using, parents are not using, they are using all the back-end process. But just imagine if you have this back-end product and you build a tool which can be accessed by parents or students. Imagine the number of users from 1,000, it can multiply, because now parents, from different grades, and now 2 people are accessing for 1 kid, right? And including kid will be 3. So the number of users start to multiply on your platform. What you give them the contextual experience, and through this value creation, you multiply number of users. And once you have more number of users in millions coming on your food platform, that's the network effect. You have method of monetizing it, right? Similarly, this is one of the example. You can take the same platform and roll out another contextual experience of displaying the product on their cafeteria. Everybody has a different kind of devices, so they can display the product menu and ingredients on their display devices. You can charge to customers based on how many devices they want their menu to be displayed. The pricing can be built on that. So there are many outcomes which can come out of the business platform if you have the discipline of 2.0. That means you are not creating, you're not taking longer time to build these network effects, right? It's already built in. There is a discipline of data, logic, and experience. You don't change it, but you roll out these applications faster and create more meaningful business opportunity in us. So these are some of the examples. I won't go into details, but I'll take another example from the hospital. So same example which we just talked about, the school nutrition. Let's talk in the context of hospital. If the same food management software has to be catered in the hospital, the patients can have the ability to place the order, right? If it was given to the hospital back-end people to use, only 1,000 people will use. But if it is given in the hands of caretakers and the patients, the number of users multiplies, right? That's another way of looking at the network effect on the platform. And when you have that network effect, again, you can monetize it with the number of patients accessing this platform. So now I'll get on to another industry example, which is for the insurance sector, right? And here I will take the context of 3 types of insurance, property casualty, life, and crop insurance, right? Primarily in insurance business, policies and claims play a major role. So sure, you need to understand your landscape and look at your business platforms, what's running for different business functions, core suite, digital hub, reinsurance pro. When you go into life side, you will see some common component, but there are many things which are very different, right? Life works in a different method than P&C. And as you would have seen in my previous slide, which I talked about, one architecture where you will have a common component, whether you are in life or PNC, or within PNC you have a multiple lines of business, every industry can continuously create their horizontal component, which can be reused for their different business function, right? Similarly, in pet, if I won't go into too much of details on explaining that, because of some of you may not be familiar with insurance sector, some of you are familiar with it. But on a high level, I will say that there are, even on a business component between these insurance practices, can be packaged as a common reusable business component, which can be kept into your platform architecture. And your platform architecture will be more in the lines of, um, this particular diagram, where you will have cloud infrastructure and option, right? Do you have to be on the journey of cloud if you want to call yourself 2.0? Absolutely not. It's your choice. You can have a hybrid cloud. You can have certain apps on premises, some of them on cloud. There could be industry, insurance companies, everything on the cloud, right? It is not that important that everything is on cloud, then only you qualify for 2.0. As long as you have a culture of bringing the API economy with your architecture, you can integrate with partners seamlessly, you are on the journey of 2.0. Next principle is you must have an ability to multi-tenant the business apps. If it takes long time to coexist on your architecture, two application, then it's not truly a multi-tenant architecture or business architecture, right? Next important aspect is intelligent data. Data has two components, physical meaning and logical meaning. The moment you draw the logical meaning out of the data and create a habitat and community and make a meaning out of it, that's when you become predictive and intelligent, right? And that's what your architecture should help you define and help you build, using data lake strategy, or finding some third-party vendor product which can create logical meaning out of your data. And that's where your data sciences are coming. ML tools are out there, machine learning tools, so that can help you make your data more intelligent. And contextual experiences, right? Let's take an example of cupboard. If you have to put all your clothes in a cupboard and they are not organized very well, the shirts are not in the right rack, and trousers and jackets and the ties, it will take very long time to get yourself ready for any event, right? But if all those things are organized, you have a choice. You can pick shirt, pick some other ties, and ready for some different event, right? So that's what the customer and contextual experience should look like. If it is Alexa or augmented reality, it doesn't matter where your data is, which business rule needs to be applied. As long as you can map those together, the experience layer must extract those logic and data and display the meaning for that particular business user. Once you have ability like that, you can create many business opportunities for your companies. And I would like to see if any questions are coming up as I go along. But this is where I wanted to discuss with you on 3 industries, how different industries are using 2.0 architecture, bringing intelligence. There will be a phase of 3.0. People are going to, dark world. They call it digital analytics, augmented reality, and quantum computing. Those will be the journey for 3.0. But for now, it's important for us to know what was 1.0, why we stand here, what will take us to 2.0, and how do we increase our number of users, monetize the applications, and time to market. It has to be rapid. It has to be faster, and user experience. Everything is all about experience. It's all about intelligent data and better experiences, right? As long as you are on the journey of better experience and intelligent data using your platform, you are truly on the journey of 2.0. So I'll hold on here and I'll see if we have any questions coming up.
Yes, we do have some questions, Rajesh. So I'm going to throw out the first one to you. You mentioned the importance of people, process, and culture. While all three are crucial, is there a priority you would give to each? Should you have people first who set the process and the culture, or do you find that or should you find people who fit in with the process, etc.?
Good question. So for any platform to succeed, all three are equally important, right? Without people, you cannot have any business platform, business direction. Without a business technical platform, people can't, they can be scrambling all over, but they will not have any meaningful outcome, right? So I would say it's like a pillar of the house. So all three have to coexist together, right? People have to get ready, right? But you need to have some change drivers in the company to start with, right? So the business and digital, that's why nowadays you have a chief digital officers and the new culture to bring in the company where new ideas can be incorporated inside the landscape. So I would say that it would start with people and then the thought process. If the leaders at the top are not driving the change and adopting the change, no business platform can, give the outcome, right? So it starts with people, then comes the, process, and then comes the technical platform. So that's how I would, even while these three are important, but somewhere it has to start. So people, look at the process, and then technology platform. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Moving on to the next question. In your mind, where do you see AI/ML in 2.0? So, artificial intelligence and machine learning.
I think 2 years back, it was like future technology. Today, I would call it is a must and commodity in your application architecture. While I was explaining the slide deck, I did talk about every data component, right, has logical meaning and physical meaning, right? So you got to extract the logical meaning. Logical meaning makes your data intelligent. So there are tools, there are a lot of tools coming in the market. There are vendor products out there in the market, and you got to use those tools to make meaning out of your data. In fact, I'll give an example of one of the companies we were working with. The business stakeholder had a meeting with us and said that I have humongous data from this business stakeholder, and we see an opportunity of monetizing it, right? Do we go and build a platform for them? Absolutely not, right? You just take the data, analyze it, make the meaning and behavior out of it, and then discuss with business users which application and which business users can consume this data information, which can be monetized, right? So the ML can create a business opportunity. The machine learning can create a direct business opportunities for many businesses, yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. How can we set up the context or the business case for a need to transition to 2.0 with our business leaders?
Can you come again?
So the question is, how can we set up the context or the business case for a need to transition to 2.0 with our business leaders? So if let's assume this is coming from a CIO. Mm-hmm. So the CIO has to kind of get his CEO to buy into this aspect.
Well, I think CEOs or CIOs, they are all nowadays driven by the business, right? And business is demanding more and more than what they demanded in the past, right? So it's all linked with the business needs, right? And to get onto the journey of 2.0 to convince anyone, again, it's a number of users and adoptions, right? Or monetizing it with the customer, right? So as long as you have a graph very clearly presented to the business stakeholder that using the 2.0, how they can significantly grow the number of users on the application or let them do more and more transaction on the platform, that has to be the convincing factor, to any stakeholder to invest into that platform. And the journey is not with a huge investment. Today's digital platform 2.0 journey starts with a smaller investment, but it starts investment on a roadmap and a platform journey, so as you continuously invest on that roadmap, you are evolving and maturing your 2.0 platform.
So that's a good transition to another question we have. Someone asked, when do you know you're ready for 2.0? So you were talking about, you'll have a roadmap kind of set for that. Can you elaborate a little bit more on, what would define a good roadmap? How would you kind of come about building one? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So I'll take example of network effects, right? So once you have truly a 2.0 platform and you are able to create, I gave you an example of meal planner tool, right? So now the parents had an access to decide what their kids are eating in the school. So if some kid has allergy to milk and they're not having a milk product, and now they have an ability to serve what they would like their kids to eat, that's a tremendous power in the hands of parents, right? Creating a tools like that, these kind of an examples, creating multiple outcomes, from your business platform. If you're only creating a one outcome, you're not truly on the journey of 2.0. But if you are creating a multiple business outcomes through your current architecture and business platform, you are on 2.0 platform journey.
All right, got a lot of questions. You guys are doing great. Thank you. Next question is, a lot of what was discussed was very internal focused. For example, like our own architecture and our own journey. When considering a platform, how much stock should be put into what our competitors are doing? Should we look into and try to mimic them, or should we focus on differentiating or disrupting the market instead?
Great question. This is the very, very interesting question. So, well, nobody knows business better than you in your line of business. Nobody knows how your systems have evolved. Nobody knows people better than you, right? So you have your X-ray of your DNA and your system, right? And what you got to do is look at the journey. You got to define a journey, where your business is asking you to invest, where their demands are coming, and you have to start organizing your house. So I would call it house in order is the first step, because your house has a potential. So once you are disorganized in your house, there is no journey, right? So first you get your house in order. That's where I'll take the example of solid, liquid, gas, and plasma framework. Once your data is organized, put it with the governance framework, security in solid structure, process into liquid structure, start extracting the process and data through experience layer seamlessly and easy. You start to keep your house in order. Now, do you buy something or build something? That's when you got to start making right decisions. In today's world, not everyone is building it, right? You are adopting it, you're buying certain platform, consuming it, and releasing it. And once you have that ability, you can fast track build some solutions. You don't have to build a big, humongous digital platform 2.0. As long as you can take certain cloud platform, vendor product, change your custom business processes, and stitch it together, you can roll out those business applications.
We got one more question. So what would you say are the defining features of 2.0?
Consumer experience, right? So adoption of the platform and consumer experience. And I would also say multi-tenancy, so you have to create multiple business outcome from the platform. So multiple business outcomes with less investment and better customer experience, or I would call it a continuously enhancing the customer experiences. So that will be the journey of 2.0.
Okay, that is all the questions we have. So again, I want to thank you, Rajesh, for joining us today for this webinar. Just a reminder to everybody, a recording will be sent out at the end of this. But of course, if you have any questions whatsoever for Rajesh, feel free to reach out to anybody at Fulcrum Digital. You can email marketing@fulcrumdigital.com. We'll make sure that Rajesh gets your questions and answers them in a timely manner. And of course, we're happy to talk to everybody and anybody who reaches out to us. So with that, again, I want to thank you all for joining us and hope you all have a good day. Thank you very much for joining us, Rajesh.
Thank you, Chris, for hosting it.